Hello, BookTube. I thought I'd try another change of pace today with a new tag. I originally saw this on the BookTube channel Brown Girl Reading, which is one of the friendliest and one most wonderful BookTube channels I've found so far. So if you're not subscribed to it, you should be. But it was originally created by Mary Berg. I also didn't know about her channel. I went and found it. She's also wonderful. You should also subscribe to her. But it's called the Buy the Book tag. It's an adaptation of the regular feature by that name in the New York Times Book Review every week. It's 10 questions, so I figure we'll get through it in short order. And let's get started. Number one, what is on your nightstand now? This is a tricky question for me. My nightstand, unlike that of most readers, is not a place where I park my good intentions. It's actually a revolving door, a very busy spot. So this question is essentially asking me what books I will read tonight, and I have three that I'll show you. First one is God is Round by Juan Villoro. This is translated from the Spanish by who? Thomas Bunstead. And it's all about the global phenomenon that is soccer, or known everywhere else in the world as football. It's always been an opaque mystery to me, the game. So I'm hoping this book will shed light. We'll see. The second book is What We Become by Arturo Perez Reverte. It's his forthcoming book. I think this comes out in June. Yeah, June. And it is also translated by Nick Caster and Lorenza Garcia. And it seems to be, from the description, just an opulent historical novel, a pair of lovers who meet at the beginning of the 20th century and keep meeting throughout the century. So we'll see. This author has never really knocked my socks off, but if anything's going to do it, it's going to be a big historical novel. And the last one, the only one that's not a translation, The Empress of Art, a new book about the art patronage of Catherine the Great, which there hasn't been a book on that subject that I've seen in America in 30 years. And it's always a good one. It shows a side of her that's really interesting. I read this when I got it in ARC, and then I sent the ARC to Olive at Book Olive. If you, again, for all things Russian, if you haven't subscribed to her, you should go and do that. But I look forward to rereading it, as usual. So that's on my nightstand tonight. Let's see here. Question number 2. What was the last truly great book you read? This is also a bit of a tricky question, but if what's meant by it is the book that has stuck with me the longest and the strongest since I read it, it would be this, Compartment Number 6 by Rosa Lixom. It's translated from the Finnish by, who does the translating? Lola Rogers. And it is amazing, just amazingly good. It's a woman who's on a compartment on a train across Russia, and just as her train is about to pull out and she thinks they has the compartment all to herself, a man boards. And of course, with transcontinental Russian railways, you're stuck with your passenger for a long time. And he's a little strange, big, florid, a little bit skeevy, and that's it. The miracles that this author does with such a small premise have to be seen to be believed. I've already read it. I'm going to read it again when I get the finished copy, but it is definitely the last great novel that I read. I figured you people don't want to hear about the last great Carolingian history I read. Let's see here. Question number 3. If you could meet any writer, dead or alive, who would it be, and what would you ask them? And this, as you might have seen coming, is also a tricky question for me. I have known, personally, many writers who are now no longer alive. So part of my motivation for the first part of this question would be distinctly non-literary. I would want to meet them again just to spend time with them. As far as authors that I didn't know personally, it would probably be Lord Byron. And I would want to know from him what was in his autobiography that his publisher burned after his death. But that would be just the tip of the iceberg. You would have a lot of questions for somebody like Lord Byron if the two of you were sharing a bottle or 2 or 10 of wine. Question number 4. What books might you be surprised to find on my shelves? This also is a little bit of a tricky question. I think, as my friends know, and as will become obvious on this channel, I have very eclectic reading tastes. You'll find everything on my shelves, from 50-year-old dot matrix Star Trek fanzines to African ethnographical studies to gigantic novels in German, and it's a wide gamut. I like it that way. So I'm not really sure anymore what would surprise somebody and what wouldn't. Question number 5. How do you organize your personal library? Wow, very loosely. Most of the history is together. Most of the biography is together. Most of the fiction is together. So I guess roughly by genre. Let's see. Question number 6. We're halfway there. What books have you always meant to read but haven't got around to yet? Anything you feel embarrassed not to have read yet? That would be none and no. Question number 7. Disappointing, overrated, just not good. What books did you feel you were supposed to like but didn't? Do you remember the last book you put down without finishing? This also is a tricky question. Supposed to like implies a kind of peer pressure, doesn't it? For good or ill, I'm far more accustomed to creating a consensus than following one. So I don't know that I have an answer to this question. I try to go into every book on a level playing field. So, there are hyped books. I still tackle them square on. So I guess, I don't really give two hoots what I'm supposed to like, and neither should you. Let's see here. Question number 8. What kinds of stories are you drawn to? Any that you steer clear of? There's nothing that I steer clear of on principle in the genres that I read. Books, the subjects of which I will certainly read, there's a wide number of such subjects. The Venice, the Edwardian era, the Second World War, the Kennedys, dogs, that sort of thing. But again, that's not restrictive at all. I'll read anything. Question number 9. If you could require the president to read one book, what would it be? Well, for the first time in 50 years, the United States has a president who not only likes to read, but likes to write. I think he'll do just fine without any recommendations from me. And question number 10. See, we got all the way to the end, another tedious tag. What do you plan to read next? Again, it's a tricky question. It's clearly pitched for readers for whom a new book is a significant investment of time and energy, and I'm just not one of those readers. So the 10th question here essentially boils down to a repeat of the first question. The books on my nightstand are what I will read next. That's Catherine the Great, Perez Reverte, and God is Round. And that's it. That's the buy the book tag. I have no idea how to tag people, and I'm a wretched newbie anyway, so nobody would want to be tagged by me. But I would love to hear all of you go through this little tag, so feel free, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.